They're going to be doing it at whole property, and they wanted to share with the city if we had any.
Right.
Okay.
Up there in Arnold
Okay,
Cemetery,
All right.
where we cut down that pine tree, the gentleman came
Yeah,
up,
I will.
and
talk
there's,
to you about
his
that.
wife or sister, somebody buried right there around that pine tree. He wants to carve it out. He said he did not want us to grind it down.
Okay,
I said, I don't think we're fine leaving it.
Okay.
It looked pretty good.
okay.
I will bring my glasses. Are we all ready?
I think we're good.
That's on his way.
Okay, we'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. If you would, stand and we'll recite the pledge of allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mayor Kim Harrison Edwards. Here. Councilwoman Sherry Rogers. Here. Councilman Randy Bowen.
Present.
Councilwoman Debbie Gummer. Councilman Herb Curtis. City Manager Nate Stansberry.
Present.
City Attorney Brian Bailey.
Here.
Finance Director Susie Johnston. Here. Chief Josh Thomas.
Excuse.
Chief Jimmy Settle.
Excuse.
Street Commissioner Mike Starrett.
Here.
Building Code Zoning Enforcement Andy Darby.
Here.
And Sanitary Director Dee Evans.
Excuse.
Is there anyone signed in to speak? No? Okay, we'll move on to discussion of the budget.
Okay, not a whole lot's changed since last time. I'll give you guys a copy of the budget. One of the outstanding questions that was in my mind was Herb brought up, why is our city hall budget so much? And I love the answer on that because I'm just flying through it. I had stuck $100,000 in there in addition for capital improvements to the buildings. And what I really earmarked that for was as an elevator for access, for our upstairs, to be able to move our meeting room up there at some point. I know there's been some discussion about painting the building too. So I'm open to whatever discussions we want to have there, but I think that, I think for us, this meeting space, as we've continued to grow, it's a struggle at times, right? And I think that room upstairs that I'm in is it doesn't need to be a city manager's office. It's way too big for that kind of thing. So that's what I stuck in there. That's what kind of really made that budget grow and double or whatnot, or not double, but increase by hundreds of thousands of dollars. So I wanted to clarify that. Also, we went through a community development director position that I had copied and pasted, if you remember right, with the city attorney's budget. So I was able to reduce that by, I think, $5,000 to $7,000. So that was taken care of and reappropriated. Another thing I forgot to do was appropriate monies for planning commission, historic landmarks, and we discussed Parks and Rec. They were in there. And so what I did essentially for them is take the money that was saved from community development, apply it to those two, but also I stole some money from the culture and recreation, that catch-all line at the very end there. So that had been reduced down to, I think, 55,000 is the budget now.
What page are you on now?
I'm not even on the page. I'm just
Oh.
speaking off the cuff. Sorry.
Okay, that's okay.
Culture recreation was one of the last pages there. at the very
Okay.
end. So that's really all that's changed. And I guess at this point, if you're all satisfied with it, I'm ready to get the levy approved and get it out of here. But I know I haven't given you a whole lot of a lot of opportunity to maybe give me some feedback or digest it from last time. If you had any questions or wish to change, I could do that, I guess.
Thank you. Yeah.
or if I was explaining, them, last time you'd asked me why the city hall budget had grown so much, and I told them, I said, I just completely blanked on it. I had stuck an additional 100,000 there for the building, and so
Oh, okay.
for elevator access was really where that number came from, but, you know, when they were talking about painting the building and things of that nature. So that's where a lot of that growth had come from in that city hall line.
For the, for which building?
This building right here.
Oh,
this whole
okay.
building.
I got you.
Anytime you feel necessary, we can check on the commission and even to special sessions if you want.
Yeah.
I'll just check the calendar. Just
And it's
call me.
fine. I just think it's a municipal building, and we should have our meetings here, right? as
Oh,
much
I
as possible,
understand. I understand, but in the meantime.
but- Yeah, for sure. Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Honestly, I'd love this, I'm being selfish, but I'd love to be able to set up on microphones and not have to take them back down. That's where I'm at.
Yeah.
Well, my thoughts were, you know, employees who have difficulty in managing those stairs regularly.
Right. You got that as well.
But it's a wish and a dream, and I understand that.
Can I just ask a question and this, nothing into this, but do we have like money itemized places that we just filled in numbers that we can fall back on? Like just to fill in the line, you like you put that extra 100,000 in that. Did we do that anywhere else? Like if we get in dire straits, we can pull from somewhere else.
Well, in the rainy day fund, we've got $50,000 that we've stuck in there again. Like, so we've got, you know, this year's budget here, I think was 75,000. We haven't appropriated that into rainy day fund yet, right? So then I reduced that down to 50 for this next year. So I'd recommend at this point, put the 75 in the rainy day this year, and then next year you have 50 more, and then you're gonna start to be able to build that rainy day fund up a little bit. So there's a spot there, right? And then at the end, again, is, you know, where I spoke to, I think last time, there's $90,000 for streets. That's kind of there as a capital line, and then there's that 50,000 that's culture and rec. But that's, like I said, the budget was pretty tight this year. I didn't have a whole lot of fluff in it as far as, you know, trying to be conservative in certain areas. Took a lot of that out. Just to kind of make everybody's request go through in a sense.
So you didn't change beautification?
So you may.
Thank you. Thank you. Because I just got my phone on.
I spent some of it today.
Did you?
Yeah, I just, and then not again, because
Sure.
especially since I've been having to come this way,
Oh,
just to work. Can we get the stickers off the windows?
You can't touch them.
Mike, what's the update on this, please?
Yeah, and if we get a couple of rain days, we're gonna finish the trimming on the inside. It's already painted, ready to go. And it will take long.
You just looked up, you said it's nice windows, and you see that
I-
little sticker.
Those windows
I
are
just kinda
gorgeous.
saw them
They are
inside.
too.
Yeah,
They're
and you
gorgeous.
just see that sticker, and it's like, it just takes the whole.
I
They're
thought we
really
need to be a
pretty
minute
from
for
the
us,
inside.
yes.
Did you not say not to mess with them because you haven't had that true thing that they
Yeah,
can
I
call
would
you?
rather not, but we can get them on. We get.
I mean, no rush, I just wondered.
I thought it'd be nice. to
It'd
get
be
them in
better
early.
today than tomorrow.
But they're not finished.
And
I'm
the,
just joking.
No, we got trims got to go.
Right.
and the ones downstairs?
There's nothing down here. that we're doing.
No, I know, but when will those get done?
Down here,
Mhm.
you all want to do it, but that wasn't in this budget.
Oh, okay.
We haven't finished the ones upstairs, right? We've still got a few windows up there.
We got a few windows up there, and I'm going to have to get, I think you got don't you have the key to the Dennis room? I gotta get in there, so I don't know if you need to be here when I put that 2 windows in there. What's that? Okay.
No, I didn't say nothing today.
No, I'm.
I'm a little OCD.
Which is all
And I
good.
apologize for
No
that.
street sweeper in there anymore, is it?
No, we don't. Well, we've got money in there for essentially to do what we've done this past year. We've got $17,000 in there or something, thereabouts.
Is that what it cost you last year?
I think it's about $9,000. When we rented it from West Virginia Tractor, it was $9,000. When we did it from Timco, it was a little bit cheaper. And
How
so
many
that,
times was that?
we
Twice?
just did, we're spring and fall.
I thought that I
It's not
saw a
enough.
line item there for street cleaning.
There is, but it's not enough to purchase one.
Oh, right,
Yeah,
right.
it's just for 2 rentals
Right.
essentially. Yeah, and I think that's a conversation for ARPA and even, I think, the stormwater fund, we've got a bridge that, but from the general fund at this point, I don't see a whole lot of room to buy one.
I got you.
One more question there.
Sure,
The stormwater fund's not actually, not at the time today, or
it's not in this
it's
budget.
not, that's what I'm wanting to know. I've seen that on my,
And I think the actual fund's been managed by the sanitary board, right? They've got
okay.
fiscal control over it or something like that.
Well, I thought that you were a signature and D was a signature. Is that not how it works?
I've never signed any checks for it. I guess.
Okay,
I don't know
I
anything
don't
about it. Yeah. And I don't get bank statements for it or anything like that.
That culture and recreation, 55,000, that's not Sherry's budget, is it?
No.
No, it's not. I wish.
Might be the overflow for her budget. Yeah.
I'm trying to hurry here. There's one more second.
And I had the request from the planning commission. So the planning commission is looking at, we put money in there to pay for half of the new comprehensive plan study. I think we can break it between the fiscal years and do the other half next year. So that's kind of a one-off thing, right? So they're a healthy $10,000 and 8,000 of that is their comprehensive plan consultant fee.
And it is a requirement.
That's
Yeah,
what I
and
was
it
gonna
is,
say.
right. So we're, that's in there, that's, 1-2 year kind of thing. Historic landmarks, you can look at our breakdown, I've added those to those back lines, but they had requested some money for some grant match, and I also added a line for architects, so $5,000 in there. I don't necessarily anticipate us using that at all, or very little, but they're in the process of doing their historic downtown line, plus we're doing all these different projects. I thought it was a healthy place and a good place to stick that in there, if we need to draw those kinds of services. So they requested 10,000 and they got 15, because I threw that money in there to cover those kind of items.
So whenever they come for grant match approval, for instance,
Yeah, I think we can
the
kind of track it.
2,000, you
Yeah,
have,
instead
yeah,
of just pulling it out of the pot, right, not really being able to
we
track
can
it.
track
We
it
have-
easier.
Yeah, and maybe maybe they make a real good justification why I need to increase it in one, right? If it's a real bellwether year for them, making a bunch of grants, we can adjust that, but at least give us a place to say, here's your match right now, what are you gonna do with that?
Or if they get non-matching grants and have a really good year.
Yeah.
They might not use it all.
What about the training? Is there anywhere we could scratch funds from to raise that in from $2,000? And what do you, have you planned anything, I mean, in the future for any of the employees or yourself as far as training, management training, or?
I haven't
Down
gotten,
to-
I haven't gotten super formal about it, like, I'm gonna throw Judy under the bus here a little bit. There's a International Association of Clerks, right? And so they've got some training
Oh,
programs,
nice.
and I'd like to see her get certified to do that. And so that's, $500. And I think we can scrounge it up, and if it's not in our budget for some reason, we'll move some money around to do that. Street department, we haven't gotten too far down in that. I know it's been a priority of ours, but everything's kind of takes its precedence. But there's a lot of stuff offered through the technical assistance program through WVU. Like we attended it was virtual, but it was a winter salting training last year. And so we had all the guys come in for that stuff. And so,
Okay.
and as things have opened up from COVID, there was one we signed up for at Summersville.
Well, we got this one down here in the middle of April at
Oh, yeah.
Turnertown.
Yeah,
Painters
there's,
Union.
the painters union's having
Okay, yeah.
a training seminar. So we're gonna send the guys to that.
Mhm.
And so at this point, that's kind of what I've been leaning on to kind of keep them going.
A
Which
lot
is-
of the stuff's free too.
Yeah, it's very low cost.
I would actually see they need a safety one like every year to recertify them. And
Okay.
I mean, we have to do it even at school, certain safety
Yeah.
plans and all
Yeah,
that, just to
yeah.
cover your,
Bases.
bases and, should they be wearing hard hats? I mean, if they're digging a ditch, equipment.
Yeah.
Where is, providing for that safety aspect?
I wonder if we could get a discount on our insurance if they had that kind of training. I don't know.
Possibly.
I
I
don't
think,
know.
what was the sanitary board? One time we tried to join up with them. They were on some kind of
Yeah.
whole training and it didn't work out where we could partner with them for whatever reason, but that was through their insurance, if I remember right.
It was.
The shirt was
Oh,
coming.
wow.
So,
Well, we do know that OSHA doesn't control municipal.
And
It's offered through your insurance too, right?
Yeah, we're assured as well.
Wasn't that right, Susie? The guy that came and spoke to us?
That was workers' comp.
And the other one that I suggest is harassment and sexual harassment in the workplace. If we had to do this every
Yeah.
year.
And we just completed, I think we're gonna be one employee still.
One employee.
So our insurance offered that for free too, so everybody's taking that course.
Just to get
Better
covering
certificate.
there, covering
Yeah.
potential.
Some of us had to take the test multiple times. In this room.
For sexual harassment?
Yeah.
That's not good.
Hey.
Talk about me for the PIA. I took this vacation for the same time, and I haven't looked at it for days. For
We have to do like 15.
Was it?
Did you put in fees for you to attend the municipal league conference or? I didn't.
I think
really
we're
see.
covering that under these subscriptions. That's
Okay,
where I feel like the budgeting from.
all right.
Again, and I think this thing is fair game, and I've told all of our employees, right, this is not a promise for what's coming next year. This is for us to set the tax levy, right, and we'll see where we end up July 30 or July 1 when we get our bank statement. That'll be the number we plug in. At that point, that's where we're gonna be operating off of again. So I think, and what's good about that is that come June 30th, we'll be able to have an actual year's worth of data. Where we've done a pretty decent job of putting it in the right categories. At that point, we'll kind of historically know what we need to kind of shift around. And that's other priorities, we'll get closer, things will change, so we'll be able to adjust it then. But
We'll have time to study and do it then.
yeah, I mean, really, you can start looking it over and this has been a healthy experience for me to kind of get myself, everybody got a budget up to February, right? They got kind of a report for that. That's something I can, share with you. And I think as we go into each month, we'll be able to provide that to each department head. So that structure's been built there a little bit for us. So that's been helpful. And, we kind of flipped the switch all at once, right? We started talking about budget, but we also gave department heads their report for the year. And also they've begun to code their own invoices, right? So they're tracking a little bit of their own expenditures. And they're looking at, oh, shoot, I've only got $500. $480 for the year. What am I going to do? And that's the kind of decision-making we're trying to introduce into our staff and give them more ownership of what they're trying to accomplish. So
Nate, this Canine Vet Services, was that taken out since it's over here, but then it's blank?
Sorry, I'm
I just assumed we wouldn't have that anymore.
well, it's still in there, and one, just in case that it all comes back, but the chief has also expressed a willingness to get another dog.
I got you.
Yeah.
As soon as you said that, I was,
Yeah.
okay.
Understood?
Long process.
Yeah, it has that.
I mean, from start to end, when you go through something like that. it's-
Right, yeah. But we've got, in a sense, we've got all the equipment, right? So, and there's not another dog in those counties from what I understand. Canine, so I think there's a utility for us to have one. Got to identify the caretaker and all that good stuff as well.
That's right, Ruby.
That's a great answer.
Ruby and Daisy.
Search and rescue.
Are there any additional questions about the budget proposal in front of you?
I guess, from my perspective, this covers our baseline needs, right? And we've got a little bit of money in there to do some beautification, and we got a little bit of money in there to do taping. And,
I would like to hold on.
well, and that's what I'm trying to get to, I think, is that with the ARPA money, I think that's where you can pour the sugar on top, right? And then that's where we can really kind of start cooking with some of this stuff. And we need to spend it, right? It's sitting out there, burning a hole in our pocket.
It's been a long time for some of these citizens,
Yeah.
to see these things happening. Chance to provide that.
So, sure.
Yeah.
Whenever you, at this point, I'm going on vacation next week. I won't be here after
Okay.
Tuesday. I'll be thinking about her. And I think after that point, let's sit down and put the grindstone down that stuff and figure out how we want to attack that. And I'm open to that conversation. I shared, kind of just a basic framework of priorities I thought, and just as, conversation starters. And some of those I know are dead on arrival, and that's fine. But I think that's, at least gets us start talking about it, give us some numbers.
Yeah.
To kind of,
When are you back from vacation, if you don't mind me? asking?
Friday, Whatever next Friday is, yeah.
It's first. I think.
I'm gonna call her and let her know I'm back. Judy's gonna, be acting as city manager in my stead, so.
Judy, I'm gonna send a bunch of streets to be paved.
Got my stamp.
I got raises already, I bought flowers coming.
Yeah. You know the drill.
So, yeah, and I'll be available by 5, something pops up, feel free to give me a call. But,
It's available at the airport anyway.
yep, I was not up 35,000 feet, should answer.
Okay, so do we move on? Are we ready to move on to approval of municipal levy estimate?
I recommend that we do. Yeah, everybody's okay with it. And just so, I'll flip it up here so you can say you at least saw it. I've just taken those numbers from our, the sheets that I gave you, the breakdown, the balanced. This is our certificate of valuation. And so we get down into our rate and levy page, and there's an estimate for how much we're gonna, so this is our property taxes. They went up a little bit more than last year. This is all that formulaic stuff. You put in your rates and what the assessor gives you, all that good stuff. So that number is one line. I think 399 is the line on that on your stuff. And then you just get in, I just plug and play the numbers from that budget we have there. That's what's in here. And so, like I said, revenues are on there. All that matches up. The only discrepancy was when I was adding up, Social Security and all that stuff, it was rounding and everything. And I got to the end and I was $1 off because there was a rounding thing there I couldn't catch. So I did fudge that a little bit. So if you look at it, so all right, Nate's $1 off. That's why, because I couldn't track down when that rounding thing was happening. Coal revenue, I was really simplistic with it. This is what I kind of anticipate us getting. We got somewhere under 7,000 this year from coal severance. So I put $31,000 in there for that. And then from the expenditure side of it, let's see if I can get this. I just threw all that under sidewalks. And that's stuff that we can change and revise, or if we decide we want to do something different there. But there's such a need for sidewalks. We've got to address that somehow about how we're going to participate in those needs. So that's just, I just did a quick accounting. Most municipalities take that coal severance. It's managed separately, just to give you a reminder. And you're supposed to, you can't use it for certain things like salaries and stuff like that.
I thought it was
Yeah.
closely scrutinized, but I wasn't
That's why
really
it's being
sure.
tracked separately.
Okay,
So you've got to show what line is. Infrastructure is one thing you can't spend on, so I just throw it in
Alright.
there. And that's what we use. We used that last year we've got a sidewalk itemization on our current budget, but also like the rails and trails, we threw that money in there. There $3,000 that we committed to Blueprint. That was coming out of that. So some municipalities rely on coal severance for a lot of their function. We don't, it's pocket change in a sense for us. So at the end of all that, I put everybody's salaries and stuff like that in there, and it balanced. And I said, I'll go through it one more time tomorrow. As far as there's a lot of different boxes. There's 20 different sheets through here. They ask for a salary schedule for our elected officials and our current management team. They give you a breakdown. They ask for a breakdown of our financial stabilization. So that's the rainy day fund. Okay. So they ask you for your revenues and your expenditures. So I didn't put this year's in there because we hadn't put the money in there yet. So our current balance was $995, the unassigned fund balance. So we've got rainy day. I put 50,000 from this budget just to make sure that reflected what was going on there. And then our budgeted expenditures, you got to add all that up. And if you don't use it anywhere, you're supposed to put it in the contingencies line. So that's why it's all there. So it balances. Okay.
Could I ask a question
Sure.
about the rainy day fund?
Sure.
Are there stipulations and contingencies on that fund?
Well, you can only put so much money in it on
Right.
your budget, right? You can't say double your budget. I think it's 30% of your thing. There's that. And then there's certain acts, some places that from what I understand, like Parkersburg, I heard, they used to pay their payroll sometimes, like as a cash flow mechanism. So they'll transfer money out of the rainy day to make sure they can pay the payroll and then transfer it back. And that's how it was explained to me. It's kind of free reign for municipalities on how they manage it, but they got to account for it, right?
Right.
But it takes a special act from council, from what I understand, to access that money and allocate it for something as well. So I really see it as a rainy day fund at this point. I think something cataclysmic happens, we're going, we need money, we got $995, right? That's what we've got saved away. And so I think that it's important for us to, you know, I think what I started out with 300,000 last year, and you guys whittled me down to, and that was good, right? But I think you do need to start making some payments there. Just from some basic literature I've read, you know, a municipality should try to have 3 to 6 months worth of operating expenses, you know, set aside, be able to cover any kind of interruptions in cash flow. You know, for somebody like us, our baseline budget is $2.5 million roughly. So, you know, that's $1 million in the contingency fund. Now, you know, we wouldn't be able to get that much. We'd be 30% of the 2 million, so whatever that is, at 300,000, so $600,000, roughly $700,000. Yeah, well, that's a little bit, but. So, I mean, we don't need to do that overnight. I think it's something now we have a little bit of, you know, we do have some revenues coming in, right? We don't have to worry about necessarily default or paying off the IRS or anything like that. This gives us the opportunity to at least put a little bit away to cover ourselves if something dire does pop up.
Questions about the levy estimate?
And I'll just finish that up. So if you, once you guys approve it, just to close the loop on this, Judy will sign that order that we, you know, council decided on such and such date. We'll send that into the auditor's office before I take off in the whirly bird, and then we have to advertise that in the paper. So we'll get that ran to the Democrat and get that in the paper for us. Okay, sorry about that.
No, that's fine. We need to know how it works.
Yeah.
Thank you. So at this time, I'll entertain a motion to approve the municipal levy estimate.
I'll move to approve the municipal levy estimate.
There's been a motion and a second to approve the municipal levy estimate. We'll have voting. Oh, any discussion? We'll have voting by roll call.
Councilwoman Rogers?
Yes.
Councilman Bowen?
Yes.
Councilwoman Gump?
Yes.
Councilman Hooker?
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. Next, we have city manager update. You're up again.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna share my time a little bit here with some of the building department here. You know, 218 court was something we talked about last time. We've gotten some numbers back. I just want to share that with you, and I want to get a little bit of clarification on that, just to make sure we all understand where we're headed. Mr. Darby and Mike have put this together. I think everybody's got a copy of that, right? The big red circle on the bottom of it. So far, we've spent $100,000, yeah, just a little bit above tearing down those 4 properties. A lot of that is attributed to asbestos, that didn't be completely treated that way, burn structures. We bid this, just to give you a refresher, we bid it out for services to demolish, and we pulled out the tipping fees from the contractor, hoping that they didn't have to, what's the word I'm looking for here, speculate on what and drive the cost up. We thought if we paid those directly, that would allow them to bid on a little bit more accurately. Yeah. So we didn't know what those costs were going to be, and they were shocking, to say the least. I didn't anticipate that. But I don't really understand. I don't really have any other way to get around it at this point. So that's where we're at. I think our budget was $60,000 this year. So we're at a vote budget revision to council. We're gonna have to figure that out here April meeting most likely. That's probably what I'll be doing when I get off the airplane. We'll try. I'm hoping with, you know, with us not hiring Andy later in the budget year and being part-time for a period, that we can absorb most of that within that budget. But it's a lot of money, right? It's $40,000 you got to make up. So I don't know if we really have that.
That's outrageous. I'll say, that's
Yeah,
outrageous.
I don't disagree with you.
And did you check with them to see what the rates were exactly for that?
I mean, the tipping fees come from waste management.
Landfill,
Yeah.
you know,
The other ones that sent us the bill, it's $86 a ton for asbestos plus.
well,
Yeah.
let me tell you what, is it okay? I'll speak?
Sure.
Let me tell you what I do know about this. If we had to treat them as all asbestos, I mean, that's down to the last little nail. Clear, everything that was on that piece of property had to be treated as asbestos. So now we're looking at a situation going back now that there's still a little bit of debris out here that needs to be cleaned up. Andy and I spoke with the department, DHHR, and now they're gonna have to go back and pick up some of this other debris, and they've told us they have to, not Enviro, but the department, or DHHR, thank you. They said it all has to be treated as asbestos. So this stuff that they're still picking up, I mean, talking about little pieces like it has to be treated as asbestos. So when you declare all as asbestos, everything. We did haul dirt, we did haul rock, which some of these, if we tear more down, we can separate that, like basically you've worked on 218 now. So if it comes to the brick and stuff, we can haul that off instead of hauling off the landfill. But those buildings right there was all totally 100% asbestos. You
Because
might have
they were
been,
on
you might have
fire.
been hauling
That's
brick
right.
down there and it was asbestos.
Yeah, if they were a burn structure, you
Burn
have to
structure.
consider them as
What's
containing
the
asbestos.
situation at Grass Run? Is that an alternative?
I'm assuming that we can take this 218 because we got all the
Yeah,
asbestos.
it's a
out.
C and D land.
It's a
It's a
Yeah.
C and D, so some of it.
Because they don't have an asbestos pit.
They don't take any burnt.
Yeah.
Talk to Jordan up there, they're taking it up there, Class D stuff.
Well, I think we can take class D, which is C and D, right?
Right,
But we had to go to Meadowville with this because they were the only asbestos.
yeah.
Because they go to landfill, right, they dump it in asbestos.
Right.
So we had to throw all this in
And
asbestos, so that's the right.
Unreal, but seriously, I tried our best when we were talking to Herb Hillary to get out of that. But no, they made me do it because it was a burn structure. But again,
Because it's burned so much percentage,
you
right?
can't get in there.
No,
You
if it's
couldn't
burn
get-
it all. I
They burn
think.
it all, you have to treat it?
No.
No.
No,
No?
if you can't get in there and inspect it.
Oh,
Safety,
I understand.
safety, you can't inspect it.
So the waste management fee is
Either
more than the
quicker or
actual
slower.
demolition of the house.
Right, right.
Because it's-
But you gotta realize you've done it under asbestos and.
Of course, but they're dumping it in a different hole at the landfill, right?
I will just, can I just say,
Okay.
when
It's
we,
plowed all in together, they just charge
Yeah.
you more.
when we tore down our old house, it had the asbestos shingles. We had to wrap them in the mill plastic,
6 minutes.
duct tape them, and then label with your address. We took it in and they dumped it in the same spot with everything else.
$50,
Yeah.
50 pounds. They take it
Now,
out.
maybe
there,
that
plow
was
it in
it.
the house
But
storage.
That
we're,
was it.
us
Doing
doing
it
it,
this
we
weekend.
just can't get around it. I mean,
I know.
Yeah.
So let's do this.
Let's-
I can do
Pray to God that no more
I can
houses
go.
burn.
8 days, probably we can get a contractor to show up. That's why I think
Already found one?
You don't talk about.
Yeah.
218 court, what's our situation there?
So so far, we've got 2 bids in on that, EnviroClean, but they, at this point, they're gonna be a couple weeks out on that. Our current, I think their quote was $15,000 and we paid tipping fees as well on that. Ron Hamrick with Fresh Coat, the guys doing, the Columbia Club, they're interested in it. He hasn't got us a paper bid out, but vocally, he said he could do it for about 12,500 if we supply the topsoil and fill dirt that he needs. He isn't comfortable guesstimating how much he needs because he can get under there to look. I don't think, just the way the house is built, it's built up on piers that don't have like a concrete footer or nothing. So I don't think there's gonna be a whole lot of fill in there.
When can he get to it? The guys at the Columbia Club.
The guy at the Columbia Club, we've talked to him, he can get there next Friday when we're legally able to take it down. That's when our 20-day notice with the property owner is up, this Friday, April 1st. Regardless whether he's done there or not, we can put him on pause right there to take care of that building.
We're looking at another 25,000 though. I would say take that sucker down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hopefully we'll save a lot on the tipping fees, right? It's not going to be treated as asbestos. We
Right.
remediated that and all that's been taken out.
Yeah.
But you do have the tree cutting on that, I'll forget the exact number on
Like
that.
$2,500.
Yeah, 2,500 on that, and
Gee, the neighbors in that area probably take a collection.
We did.
It'll be good on his phone, we just need to get going.
We had an individual in Weston that tore down the house, and Andy and I both spoke with him. And he's, just for him taking it down himself, he's gonna have
yeah, he's at
15,000.
15,000.
He's gonna have $15,000 at himself, and he's taking, it's not burnt or nothing like that, but it cost him $3,000 to get the asbestos shingles off. So, other than the rock and the stone and stuff, if we didn't have to haul that down there, I would say that would have been a lot cheaper. We could take it down at our place and done that. We had to be treated as all asbestos. I mean, right down to the last little nail.
So our demolition line is 70,000. But maybe two houses, time next year gets here, things, prices and stuff raised.
Good. Very easily. Yeah, that's with our, I'm not trying to throw water on 218 court, but that, you know, we've got 5 or 6 that are in that tax sale. We've never been found out whether the auditor's bill passed or not.
I was going to ask about that.
Yeah, we've been online, I've checked the news and
Why
I
don't you
guess,
just call him?
I need to, I just.
Yeah.
Just give him a call and say, JB, what's up?
But that's one of those ones that's tax sale, right? So that's gonna be one of those ones that we could have maybe saved some money that we're pulling off of our roster now, because we're trying to get down
What
quicker.
was that number again?
So that kind of stinks, right? In that
What was
regard.
that number on the tax bill? Or 552?
That's Bill 552.
I mean, you get online, check all the, who read it last and all that stuff.
You don't know if the governor still has time to sign.
Yeah, I don't know if it's ever signed. It looked like it was headed that way, but I don't know. But he gets so many days right before it kind of dies on its escrow.
Yeah.
Truly not. So that's about all I've got, I think, for an update.
It is, it's
Can
great,
I say
thank you.
one thing?
Thank you.
I just want to let everybody know that the traffic flow, there is no problem with traffic flow on Buck Hill with the bridge.
Okay.
There's been hardly any increase at all
Well,
over,
that's great.
over
It
it
is.
all. I mean, honestly.
I didn't meet with the contractor last Friday. I walked in and see how the pier work had gone. That was quick, right? That pier was there now, they're quick. But he's expressed some reticence about it, so I just wanted to throw it out there. You may get, you know, at this point, council made this call and I said, if there's an issue, we'll bring it to him, but I said, just keep us apprised. He's concerned about it, but I'll just throw that out there.
Concerned about the bridge or the traffic?
The traffic.
Oh,
Yeah,
no, like I said, no, so far.
Yeah, getting access for them, you know, they're gonna bring their trailers and stuff.
Oh,
around
for
there.
them, but then they should be allowed to come through Foster.
They come through Foster.
I think we can work with them. And that's
I
what
thought
I
that was
was trying
right.
to say.
I had to go to Mr. Alcoa today because we're going to shut those gates. And when we go through there, we're taking our equipment through.
Okay.
We're going to shut the gate because I counted 5 residents going through there.
Yeah.
I thought initially, maybe I misunderstood, initially, wasn't that going to be the route initially?
Emergency.
It's always been an emergency.
Oh,
only.
I misunderstood that, okay.
So I think, you know, our emergency vehicles, we're stretching probably a little bit, but he's been
Well,
good to work with
and
us.
he's been good. And he knows we got that track over, and that's pretty steep hill to be dragging that up.
Which is good.
So he's
Oh, he's a
good.
good guy.
That was nice of
Appreciate
him.
He's a, he'll let me.
Anything else, Nate?
I think that's all I have at this point.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you, Nate.
I
all
do
of
too,
you.
Thank you, Nate.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you guys for your work.
Thank you.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Where you going? Tomorrow.
No,
You can't go with him?
we're done.